Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about the excavation of the foundation. This will be the third episode in our shop build series. This will be poured as a monolithic pour. It is quite different from a stem wall typical footing build, like a 1 foot by 1 foot footing with a stem wall on top and a slab that goes into it. This is a monolithic pour, meaning one singular pour, footing wall, and footing into slab as one pour. I figured I would make this a short episode just on the excavation instead of clumping everything into excavation and foundation. In previous projects, we would do a typical footing and stem wall foundation. The two garages we built in downtown Toronto had a full 4-foot foundation to enable future building on top if they wanted to add a second story to do a granny flat, which is a small apartment on top of the garage. They can do that in the future. This is just going to be a simple shop, so it's a simple, like I said, monolithic pour, which will be fine for what we're doing here. If you look behind me, you can see that we have everything dug out here. We have the, maybe I'll just pick up the mic here, flip this, I'll flip this around so I can explain it better. In the middle of the excavation here, you can see where the slab will be. Right now it's covered in gravel, which will be compacted to 4 inches below the slab with a layer of plastic underneath, which is what we call Super 6 here, which is similar. It's just a vapor barrier that you'd find in the walls of your house to keep the moisture out of the slab. Right here you can see the border of our foundation. I'll just step down here for a quick sec. And the way a monolithic pour works is our footing wall will go here up, and then the footing will go across the bottom, and this will gradually slope up to the slab. When this gravel's compacted down, it'll actually fall down this hill a little bit, so instead of having a typical rectangle footing, you'll be flat on the left side, flat on the bottom, and it'll kind of curve up towards the slab. Just to make it easier for us, we only had the machine rented for 2 days, so we dug out the front here, and I built a temporary bridge to bring the dump trailer across to pour the gravel, which makes things easier. If you can, obviously there's certain things that a machine can do and certain things that a shovel can do, but if you have the means to rent a machine for even 24 hours to get the main dig up done, or at least break up the soil, you'll have way better of a time. I went around with the shovel to kind of square off the edges. A lot of this ground was sand and a little bit of clay, so we dug a little deeper than we needed to, and we came back in with this is recycled concrete at the bottom. I know it's kind of funny. We live in a world where I could bust concrete slabs out of here and then load it into a trailer and sell it to the depot, where they charge me about, like, let's say $50 for the trailer load of concrete. They recycle it and then they sell it back to me so I could put it back into the ground. But hey, what can you do, right? Like I said, since the ground was a little, I wouldn't say sketchy or anything, it was just, we felt better if we dug lower, and we slowly brought it back up with this recycled concrete, tamped it bring it up an inch, tamp it, bring it up an inch, tamp it, and then once we reach within 3/8 of an inch, we're pretty happy. The last 2 garages we built, we used stakes and like string lines, where you make a border of string all the way around, and we would do 1 X in the middle with a line level on it, and you would measure down from a set. You'd keep that line the same, and you'd measure down to figure out how deep you need to be. For this project, we splurged a little bit and we bought ourselves a rotary laser. So essentially, it sits on a tripod. You set it in the middle, in a spot on the site that it can shoot the laser at any point on the site, and you can catch it with the receiver. So it comes with the tripod, the laser, a stick for the receiver and the receiver itself. What you do is you pick a spot that's kind of known on the site. We use the front concrete curb of the old garage. It's gonna stay. So we picked a spot where we set the tripod up, put the receiver stick on that curb, and then when it beeps, we know that they're at the same level. And then, for example, if we know that slab is 6 inches below that curb line, we move the receiver up 6 inches on the stick, and then when we dig out the slab area, when it beeps, we know we're in the right spot, and then we can move down to the footing level, knowing that it's a 1 foot footing, raise the receiver up another 12 inches and go around the bore and beep, and the receiver will beep and it will tell you if it's too high or too low within like an inch range. It kind of keeps things more simplistic. You're not stepping over strings and everything. We've done it both ways. To be honest, even with the laser, I still sometimes prefer string line. It was not for when we put this recycled concrete in, we put some temporary stakes in the ground, did a string line, and so when I was tossing the recycled concrete in, it gave me just a visual representation of how close I was. This will be the first time we're ever doing a monolithic pour, so we'll see how that goes. Like I said, last 2 foundations we've done were full footings and 4-foot stem walls, so this should be easier, I hope, but we'll find out together. This week we're going to be starting the forming for the outside of the footing. Will just be a border around the outside. Like I said, this is a monolithic pour, so you form the outside and then the footing just flat on this recycled concrete here, and it slopes up to the slab in the middle. And then we have a small stem wall above the slab level. It's about 8 inches to bring us above the dirt line here. Our dirt line on this side is really, really high with these big trees here. So we're gonna actually add a little bit of a stem wall on top, form a little bit of a stem wall to bring us above this dirt line, and we're probably gonna dig some of this dirt out. It's kind of hard to tell from here, but you can kind of get a concept of how big the shop is. But the old shop, or the old garage I should say, went from this curb, so from there to roughly here, and it went all the way back to that dirt line at the back. Now we have, instead of 16 wide, we have 20 wides, so all the way across. You can see where the curb ends there, and it keeps going further, but instead of 30 we're at 24, so more square as opposed to the long rectangle. Next episode we'll be building the formwork for the edges of our concrete pour, and once we have this gravel laid out, tamped, and sloped down the bottom, you'll get a better idea of what the final pour will look like. I thought I would just make this a quick episode purely on excavation. There's only so much I could really show, as it's kind of shovel into ground, move dirt, rinse and repeat, a billion times. But try to keep this short and sweet. Next episode, see some real progress once the form's done and the rebar's put in, and we'll be just waiting on the inspection of our formwork, and then we can pour the slab. I really hope you guys are enjoying the content. I'm kind of working my way at getting better with this camera and microphone setup. I hope my progress is getting a little bit better. You're kind of on this journey with me as I work my way through. I'm going from a guy who frickin' hates having his photo taken to putting himself out on the internet. So I hope you enjoy the content. And if you like the video, please hit that like button. Really appreciate it if you could do that for me. And if you like the content and want to see me grow with this shop on this channel, please hit that subscribe button. There's plenty more content coming. Thank you.